chair of the transition team, talking about Julius. Deborah was here as well. We saw Fifi Kwetu, who is a member of the NDC team. Dr. Callistus Muhammad was also here. Dr. Valerie Soa, Dr. Kesa Tuforcing, as well as some other members of the NDC side of the transition team. It started with the spokesperson of the NDC side of the transition team talking about Felix Kwasi Ofosu making some expectations or expecting some key discussions to happen in this room. Amongst the things that he expected to happen in this room was the continuation of where the team left off on Wednesday after the inauguration of the committee, as well as responding to some critical concerns they in the NDC have had. And with this, I'm talking about the last-minute appointments that the NDC is claiming that the NPP is doing. We're talking about the appointment of the Deputy Shraj Commissioner, as well as some last-minute security appointments, responses that have come from the NPP spokesperson of the transition team, talking about the Information Minister Fatima Abubakar there. He was also looking at going beyond these discussions, if the need be, to talk about issues of subcommittees that will be formed. Already we know that some 9 committees have now been formed, but earlier in the morning, Felix Kwasi Ofosu expected an additional 5 subcommittees to be formed after the 3 had been formed already in the first meeting. And these 3 committees, I'm talking about the inauguration subcommittee, government machinery subcommittee, as well as the presidency subcommittee. And according to Felix Kwasi Ofosu, it was in line with the Presidential Transition Act that made these subcommittees, these 3 subcommittees, if you like, mandatory to look at the transition from one government to the other. So after the meeting that lasted for about 4 hours, we spoke to the 2 of them, voices which we've heard responding to how this meeting went, whether the concerns the NDC had about last-minute appointments and last-minute payments were addressed. And according to Fatima Abubakar, there's no such thing as last-minute appointments or last-minute payments because the mandate of the Akufo-Addo government has not ended. It will end on the evening of the 6th of January 2025. Then on the 7th of January 2025, a new government will be sworn in. In fact, it's making the comparison that when it comes to security issues in dealing with acts of vandalism that have been reported across some other areas in the country, you're calling on the president to intervene. But when it comes to the president exercising his mandate as the executive, making appointments, working within the budget or making expenses, that you have a problem with. So he's making the comparison of appropriating and reprobating and all of that. So these are the things mainly that have happened here at the Accra International Conference Center, where the presidential transition teams, both the NDC and the NPP, have had, if you like, their second meeting. The next meeting will be determined soon, where other courses of actions will be spoken about.
Thank you so much, Noble Crosby-Annan, for bringing us that comprehensive report from that meeting with the transition team at the Accra International Conference Center. I'm coming back to you, Bella.
All right, thank you so much, Beatrice. And we're going back to my guest so we can have a conversation also about what the Minister of Information had said. Very interesting. And I was monitoring the comments on our Facebook stream, and I'll read just a few of them. Some of them too harsh, so I'll skip them. But Okulu Godwin says, you know how many medicals I do? I still day sick of Anofi by slot. Okay, can someone tell this lady she's lying? Because as I speak, employment and promotion is going on even today. She's talking too much. That's Frank Mawenya Godwin. Frank, I wish you had told us where exactly this is happening. And then Kingsley Kojo says, I can foresee this MPP government staying in opposition for a long time if they don't learn. Santana says, when did you advertise recruitment into the security agencies? T.E. Jan says, this woman is talking too much. This is what has made you people mini minority, the equalization. That's money, need money. Okay, let me just skip. I'm skipping a lot of them. Jake says she's lying about, you know, about not firing people and about the fact that there are some recruitments that are being done. She says, even payments, you cannot say because they have been voted out, they should not go ahead and make payments. if there are some payments that were supposed to be done in November 2023 and they are still outstanding, are we saying that this government should not make those payments now before they go out of power? So let me just throw it to my guests in the studio, and we'll find out if really it is true that when the NPP took over in 2016, they did not fire people from the various agencies because those people may have looked to belong to the opposition party or not. But Palgrave, let me come to you first. You're smiling.
Yeah, Professor Khalid seems to be very eager about this very particular topic.
Well, we all are.
It expires on the midnight of 6th January. Government has not departed. There is not a single recruitment happening without the...
Those who are here are not here. I want to thank all of them for their good wishes, for their prayers, for their contributions, and for bringing all of us to this site. All I have to say is thank you very much. Thank you very much for everything you have done. And whatever you did, as our chairman has said, the fun is over, the work is about to begin. And as we journey together,
Gusitano, Professor Ahoy, I mean, it clearly told me that the new government wants to deepen their roots, really, in the NDC. And so I commend President-elect John Dramani Mahama for such a good team that he's been able to put together. Obviously, from our side, it's all on the constitutional requirements, and so it's really nothing new.
Okay.
To state that, you know, Bella, we need to look at some of the acts very well, because there's an act that has brought the statutional team into being. Minded of the fact that we also have the presidency or the government that has not come to an end. The real question now is, where do you draw the line? Okay, because the budget was read in November 2023, and that budget had things that needed to be done till the last day of government, which is the 6th of January of the next government that is yet to come. In drawing the line, any government that is caring enough would want to draw a line that is not too heavy on the incoming government. One of the things that we would, and you know, I wasn't involved in this level of politicking in 2016, and so some of the things are things that I've either read,
sort of holding the door open, so others
business in the interest of the good people of Ghana, and that commitment we shall honor. But any other matter that seeks to take away from the mandate of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo until the end of 6th January 2025, you and I know is unconstitutional. And I'm even referring you to the fact that as late as 20th December 2016, the former president and president-elect appointed a Shrag boss for us. Because it was a legal appointment, that Shrag boss has been in office since 2016 to date. You get the point. They appointed an NCC commissioner for us. And it did not change, because we have to, when they raise points that the mandate says 4 years, not 3 years, 10 months, or 3 years, 11 months. And if there is anything untowards, whatever provisions or policy direction that the incoming government has, they have the opportunity and resources to do whatever they deem fit. But I don't understand why, after winning an election and seeking a smooth transition, we still want to go ahead and then throw dust and misinform and cause panic, which will lead to people going out there to cause violence and also to hurt people.
So with all said, are you recruiting people?
I am saying that there is no recruitment which is new after we lost the election. The Ghana Police Service, the Ministry of Interior, since August, made an announcement of financial clearance that they've received since January. If you recall, it's got the processes have been to Parliament, all other places, securing financing. They announced publicly of the intention to recruit. The Ghana Police Service brought a schedule of where the recruitments were taking place in every regional capital. The young people of this country went out there to participate in the process. They were shortlisted, they did their medicals. In fact, some of them were already at the training schools. But the police service deemed it fixed that you cannot disenfranchise people because they are under training. So these individuals have to be released to go out there to cast their votes and come back to continue the process. And I'm reminding you that at the military training school, when we took office in 2017, there were people who were recruited who were in training as at November 2016. Not a single one of them was removed or changed by this government, because we make it appear as if some of these processes just come out of the blue. It is not every institution who will even have the financial clearance to embark on these recruitments. And I'm saying these are public exercises, and publications on your respective media houses and online portals will reflect the narrative as I am putting it out today, and nothing new. If there is any evidence to the contrary of people being recruited without financial clearance, without due process, let us give specific instances and mention names. Not that because all of a sudden there is a change in government, we need to change the narrative and create some stories to further denigrate and defame some individuals for what they have not done.
Lastly, as the mouthpiece of government, there's pressure on government to take action on the chaos that we are seeing at the various collation centers and the vandalism and all of that. What is the government doing?
We have robust institutions of states that are divorced completely in terms of operations from the political executive powers of our country. We have the police service. When they require support from other institutions, security institutions of states, they can do so. And I believe if you see the communications and subsequent publications coming from the Ghana Police Service, at least I have seen some on their social media portals. It points to the fact that they have been making some arrests. Some people are remanded, others have been granted bail. But beyond that, clearly, you will do your research and look into the matters as to the source of this vandalism. If it's over exuberance, if it is out of some excitement of assault, post-election. So name and shame, you know them, you know if you know NPP members, if you know, and your media houses who did the coverage, post-election coverage, you have reporters in the various regions, if you know for a fact, they should have names and they should have pictures. But to just try and create an impression just to hide the truth, I believe that is something that you owe a bigger responsibility to our country as a media to investigate and find out what is actually going on. But it is, I believe, over the past few days, I have granted interviews to a lot of international media, and they are as proud as I am as a Ghanaian that we have vowed that whatever the outcome of every election is, we are committed to a peaceful transition process, that votes are duly counted and persons who have won are duly declared, and we move on as a country. At the end of the day, it is a marathon, not an event. In 2020, I believe it will not even be 2 years until we start processes towards another election. We wish good for our country. If they have selected an alternative, they have the goodwill and our prayers to do well. If they don't do well, another election will just be at the corner, and we'll come back to the good people of this country to make a case.
Finally, there was an issue of 240 million Ghana cedis that the spokesperson for the Mahama transition team said they had flagged. I want to find out what the outcome was on that.
Let me remind you once again, respectfully, that the transition team's powers does not exceed whatever authority granted by the Act, and it does not place an embargo on the executive mandate that the people of Ghana have given to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. As we sit here, it's about inauguration, it's about handing over, it's about disclosures and declarations and making sure they receive everything they are meant to receive. It does not take away the powers of the finance minister to pay. Then we should say that in December we are not paying salaries because the transition team should be the one to pay. When you were talking about security situation right now, you didn't say that you are calling on the former president or the NDC to address security concerns. You said we are still in government, so the state should act. The actions of the state does not expire until the executive legislative mandate that you gave to the president expires. So why do we approbate and reprobate? On security matters, you want government to show that they are still in office, but on expenditure and decisions, you say, wait, allow a transitions committee to advise you on what to do.
The argument is that these payments are irregular and they're coming at the last minute after the outcome of the December election.
The timing. Let me remind you.
After the outcome of the December election.
Saying that, what do you mean by irregular payments? What do you mean by that? Every ministry that is under the consolidated fund, they have their capex, they have their goods and services, they have their program for the year. Those who are not able to exhaust it will go back to chess. Those who required more funding, they presented it before Parliament. And approvals and appropriations have been done. So let me remind you once again, respectfully, that we cannot all of a sudden say because there is change, there is an election, and there is a change in government expected in January, we shouldn't pay salaries. The finance ministry shouldn't pay obligations. Ministry of Information, we have procured 40 state-of-the-art LED information rig for the Information Services Department for the retooling. It's at the ports. They have to clear, we have to pay. It's the case that we are saying the tools that even the civil servants need to work, which was captured in the budget since November 2023, should be shelved because there is change in governments. The new budget year, they will have all the control to do the appropriation under the new budget year, based on the resources at their disposal, based on the whatever policy direction that the incoming government seeks to pursue. But let President Akufo-Addo and his government do what we are required to do for the people of Ghana whilst he still holds executive power. And at the end of the day, I believe by 6th, you will have an exit data on whatever this government has done when it comes to GDP, inflation, when it comes to exchange rate. We will have a more refined and defined conversation when we have exit data as at the time that the mandate of the president ends. But it is so unfair. When they were in a similar circumstance and was appointing to NCC, appointing to Controller and Accountant General, appointing to the Shraj, appointing to Auditor General, executing mining leases, mining agreements as late as 28 December 2016, and then we look the other way, and all of a sudden, and even bought their saloon cars which were allocated to them, and all of a sudden we say the conversation to change without any credit whatsoever to the goodwill, the peaceful transition, the goodwill that this government has shown, and the commitment that has brought all of us out here to give them all the support we can gather under the sun. So I believe the rest lies with you. You can decipher what is happening, and you will bear witness eventually to whatever we've done within the period. You're welcome.